Try out sound effects using the setEffect function. Simply put, it allows you to use sound effects in EarSketch. Go to breakbeat.co.de/1b. That will take you to this doc, and again, you can see at the top of the doc, breakbeat.co.de/1b. This is a Google Doc that you don't need to log into. Anyone can access it without a Google ID. And you will be able to copy this code. And in fact, it might be really useful for everyone to do this because there's actually some good stuff in here that we're going to show later. Chromebook or a Windows device, Control A, Control C on a Mac, Command A to select all, Command C to copy it. We'll go back into EarSketch, click the plus button right here, add a new script like that. Or click here to create a new script. We'll call this example 1B date and then stage name. And same as last time, we'll just delete the code that's already there and paste in the code from the example. You'll notice at the bottom, one of the reasons I like to encourage everyone to use that example code is because at the bottom it had all this code that had these hashtags. So what are these hashtags for? And so these hashtags allow programmers to write comments in plain text that the Python interpreter will just ignore. So it could be a way to document your code, maybe to remind yourself to do something later, or to explain what you're doing to another programmer who's also working with the same code. In this case, we're using it just to sort of deactivate this code. And so if we want to remove those hashtags, well, you could go line by line and delete the hashtag. Or you can just simply highlight all that code and then hit Control and the question mark on a Chrome device or Windows device, or Command and a question mark on a Mac. I'm going to go back into EarSketch. I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm going to say like this, uncomment. Automatically, that code is now functioning. Now scroll down. You'll notice it's not a fourth track, but it's right below track 3. And that's where you see this little line going here. It says volume gain. You notice it has a horizontal line going across, and it's right under track 3. What's happening? It's this new thing called setEffect. setEffect is like fit media. It's a built-in function. And it has 4 parameters, just like fit media. Fit media, the parameters are sound, track, start, and end. With setEffect, the parameters are track, type, parameter, and effect value. That's not going to make sense quite yet. So let's break it down. So track equals 3 because we're changing the sound on track 3 in some way. The type of change or the type of effect is volume. How we're changing it, how we're changing the volume is the gain. So we're going to turn that dial, the way you might see a dial on like a guitar amplifier, that'll turn up or down. So we're going to dial up or down that sound. We're going to dial it down in this case because we're going to reduce it by -10. And it's -10 decibels. We'll explain what that means. And then we call the setEffect function, which says, okay, I'm going to change the value. I'm going to change the sound on track 3. I'm going to change the volume. I'm going to turn it up or down. In this case, I'm going to turn it down by -10 decibels. So what's a decibel? Well, 30 decibels is like a whisper. 60 decibels is like a normal speaking voice like me now. 120 decibels is the loudness of a crowd, right? Which can actually start to damage your ears. In this case, we're just going to have the loudness of the sound reduced by -10. And so when we click the run button, and I'll go back into EarSketch to show this, and click the play button, now it's changing this last track right here. You had the bypass to know what it would sound like if I didn't turn down the volume. You can see it's a good bit louder. Now I've just dialed it back to kind of make that kick drum a little softer. And again, we'll notice that the box under track 3 that says volume gain, that horizontal line, it's it's not at the top, it's just a little bit lower down because we reduced it by -10. So at this point, what we want to do is have the students just start to play around with their track, rearrange it in different ways. Maybe they want to play with effects. Some students might ask things like, well, what if I want to change the pitch? And we say like, well, you can try it, or you can just Google it. In this case, check the curriculum. You might see something called pitch shift. You can go in there, check that out, see what that's all about. We're not going to explain that for the purpose of the hackathon. You can go and figure that out on your own and really encourage them to start to play around with the code. And the easiest way to do it is not to try to understand everything that's going on here. Just go ahead and start hacking away.